Hello and welcome to the Atoll, your home for Waterworld fandom. In today's collecting video, we'll be taking a look at every home video release of Waterworld that I own, and a few that I don't, and discuss the key differences between the different cuts of the film that have been released over the years. So without further ado, let's turn on that DVD, VHS, or Laserdisc player and load up some physical media. For this video, I think I'll walk through this collection starting with the most recent releases and working back through time towards the older releases on VHS and Laserdisc. So let's begin with our Blu Ray and 4K HD home releases. But before doing that, let's first discuss the different versions of the film which will shape our discussion of all the home videos on display today. So there are three different cuts of the film: the Theatrical Cut, the TV Extended Cut, and the Ulysses Cut. The Theatrical Cut is obviously the most common version of the film, being the one that was initially shown to theater-going audiences in 1995 and released on home video for years after. The TV Extended Cut was created by ABC TV for television syndication, which added 40 minutes of additional material and reworked parts of the film to accommodate for commercial breaks. Allegedly, this version is closer to the vision of the film's credited director, Kevin Reynolds. Notably, however, is that the TV Extended Cut is censored, taking out some of the gore, nudity, and foul language seen in the Theatrical Cut. So, the final version, the Ulysses Cut, was originally an unsanctioned fan edit that combined the additional materials of the TV Extended Cut with the uncensored material in the Theatrical Cut. So, you're probably wondering, what specifically are the differences between the different versions? Well, the TV Extended Cut adds nearly 100 extended, alternative, or cut scenes not seen in the Theatrical Cut, some of which are very small and minor changes that are hardly noticeable. But at this point, I would like to run down a list of what I see as the 25 biggest differences between the TV Extended Cut and the Theatrical Cut, starting with number 1. An extended scene that shows us the destitute drifters living on small boats just outside of the Atoll gates that are willing to barter their own hair for a cup of hydro. As the mariner enters the gates, they are hosed down with water cannons to keep them from entering the city's inner lagoon. Number 2. An extended scene in the tavern/trading post with Helen chatting with another customer before the mariner arrives. Number 3. A full additional town meeting scene taking place at night aboard the Atoll, in which the residents discuss the fate of the captured mariner and argue about the state of their declining society. Number 4. A scene in which the mariner is bullied by the group of Atoll boys while hanging in the cage above the organo barge. Number 5. An extended scene introducing Gregor as he runs about his laboratory and laments his inability to decipher the map on Enola's back. Number 6. A few extra shots showing us the interior of the interwoven Atoll boat that Helen and Enola live on, complete with Enola's charcoal drawings covering the walls. Number 7. During the Atoll battle, Helen runs into the smallest of the Atoll boys, telling him to take up arms and join the fight. Also in the battle, an old woman accuses Enola of being the reason the smokers are attacking and is immediately killed. Also, this jet ski literally hovers through the air into the Atoll. Number 8. An extended scene of Gregor preparing his dirigible for flight that shows off a great physical performance by Michael Jeter. Number 9. A much longer scene with the Deacon and his entourage after the Atoll battle, in which the smoker ledger recounts the supplies obtained from the fight, followed by the Deacon giving a rousing sermon to a group of smokers. Number 10. An extended scene aboard the D's showing off the living conditions of the smokers during a typical workday. Number 11. A second urine purifying scene on the trimaran, in which the mariner purifies his own pee along with Helen and Enola's, and then greedily drinks most of it. Immediately after, Enola thanks him for not killing them and gives him a kiss on the cheek, to which the mariner pushes her down. Number 12. A much longer scene in the Deacon's quarters aboard the D's, in which he talks to the smoker pilot, played by Jack Black, and speaks wistfully of his plans to create a golf course on dry land. Number 13. a drawn out and somewhat bizarre scene of the mariner cutting up and eating a cherry tomato while Helen and Enola watch lustfully from the forward deck. Number 14. An extended dinner eating scene in which the mariner tells Helen and Enola to drink as much hydro as they would like because rain is coming that evening. Number 15. A much longer night conversation scene between the mariner and Helen on the bow of the trimaran. The scene begins with Enola sleeping on the open deck with a drawing of her and the mariner swimming, which is a different drawing than that which we'll see later in the scene. Added to the scene also is a CD Walkman, which plays a jazz album while the mariner hangs out on the bow of the ship. After the conversation with Helen, we are also given an extra scene in which the mariner goes below deck and looks through his collection of National Geographic magazines for the definition of the word pity, which he has heard Helen use during their conversation. Number 16. There's an extended scene on the trimaran after the companions have been ambushed at the Barter Outpost / slave colony. In this scene, the mariner dresses his wounds and is shown that he was planning on selling Helen and Enola to the slavers. Number 17. After the mariner, Helen, and Enola are captured by the smokers, the Deacon and his companions look through the mariner's stash of National Geographic magazines. Number 18. The scene with Enola imprisoned in the bowels of the D's is extended, with the Deacon-mobile crashing into a pile of garbage and the Deacon talking about his church of eternal growth. Number 19. There are a few extra shots of the mariner and Helen aboard the dirigible after Gregor has rescued them. The mariner is anxious about reconvening with the Atollers and draws his machete, but Helen tells him it's going to be alright. You'll also see that the mariner is carrying the container of paper that he has obtained from the drifter a few scenes prior. Number 20. Once arriving at New Oasis, the mariner leaves in a small boat and returns to the ruins of the trimaran, where he finds more of Enola's drawings and realizes they are depictions of dry land. In the theatrical cut, this happens while the mariner and Helen are still stranded on the burnout trimaran before being rescued by Gregor in his dirigible. Number 21. The mariner saves the Atollers of New Oasis from two roving smoker jet skiers with a surprise underwater attack. This also gives context to why the mariner suddenly has a jet ski in the theatrical cut. The mariner lights an oil slick left behind by the smokers to create a trail to their hidden lair. Number 22. There's an extended scene in the D's launch port where two smoker mechanics celebrate the mariner killing their supervisor, known as Smitty. Number 23. There's an extended scene aboard Gregor's dirigible after the destruction of the D's, in which he gives more explanation about the reversed poles subplot and his revelation that allows him to find the direction to dry land. Number 24. There's a much longer scene as the mariner is preparing to embark from dry land, in which each of the companions gives him a gift. Enola gives him her music box, Gregor gives him a bag of dirt, the Enforcer gives him a handshake, and Helen gives him his name, Ulysses, which is where the Ulysses Cut gets its title. The mariner also reveals that his purpose for leaving dry land is to find other mutants like himself. Number 25. As many of you know, the extended cut gives us the revelation that dry land is actually the top of Mount Everest, which is visually shown when Helen and Enola discover the plaque commemorating Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary as the first mountaineers to summit the world's tallest mountain. So even after all of that, you may still be wondering what are the differences between the TV extended cut and the Ulysses cut. Well, to be clear, the differences are far smaller, with minor alterations that bring back the uncensored material that's present in the theatrical cut, but not in the TV extended cut. So, most notably added back in is some violence, mostly smokers being harpooned or speared, the film's one instance of nudity, along with an abbreviated shot of the mariner peeing, and some of the tobacco smoking in the film, like the Deacon offering Enola a smoke or when he lights a match off her back. Also, lines of censored dialogue from the TV extended cut, lines like the Deacon uttering junk or slime in place of the S word, are replaced with the original more vulgar lines of dialogue from the theatrical cut. So, for the most comprehensive viewing of Waterworld, you could argue that the Ulysses Cut is the most exhaustive version of the film, the most intensive version of the film. But the most enjoyable? Well, I think all in all, I prefer the theatrical cut for being a tighter, better paced film, but I really do enjoy the extra bit of world building offered in the extended cuts. So, after that enormous sidebar, let's turn our attention back to the video collection, starting with a look at the granddaddy of all Waterworld home releases, the Arrow 2019 Blu Ray release. Arrow Video is a British independent distributor of cult, horror, art, and world cinema that puts together these extraordinary home releases filled with different remastered cuts of the film, original artwork, exclusive booklets, and extra features on the DVDs that include interviews and documentaries. And Arrow's Waterworld Blu Ray is absolutely brimming with all of these. First, the box art itself is breathtaking, using a style very similar to legendary poster designer Drew Struzan, who, if you didn't know, actually created unused mock-up posters for the film Waterworld that are amazing, and so much better than the official posters used to promote the film. Shout out to Kevin Costner's Legacy on Facebook for showing me these unused gems. Inside the box, we are treated to a plethora of Waterworld goodies, including a full-size double-sided poster and a 60-page booklet full of old articles from the release of the film, as well as concept art, a look at some of the Waterworld merchandise, and an interview with Michael Conti, the director of the live-action cutscenes in the Quest for Dryland PC game. Inside the DVD case, which has a reversible sleeve, we are given 6 premium postcards that are based on the original European lobby cards that came out during the film's release in 1995. But the DVDs themselves are really what's so special about this package. Contained on 3 discs are all 3 cuts of the film in 1080 HD and newly restored from the original film elements by Arrow Films, and this marks the very first official release of the Ulysses Cut. Extraordinary. But it doesn't even stop there, because these discs contain an overabundance of extra features, which include production and promotional still galleries, a visual effects still gallery, the original trailers and TV spots, and Dances with Waves, an archival 10-minute featurette that captured and promoted the film's production from the mid-90s. Also, there is a recorded lecture by film critic Glenn Kenny called Global Warning, taking a look at eco-themed post-apocalyptic films in general, and to be honest, it kinda sucks, and just kinda feels like Kenny is bragging about how many movies he's seen, rather than giving actual insight into this subgenre of film. But by and far, the most exciting part of the Arrow release is Maelstrom, the Odyssey of Waterworld, a feature-length making-of documentary with never-before-seen behind-the-scenes footage of the production and exclusive interviews from heavy hitters like Peter Rader, Dennis Gassner, Dean Semler, Charles Gordon, and Kevin Reynolds. This documentary is undoubtedly a gift to the Waterworld fanbase because, as we will explore in this video, very little has officially come out about the production of this film. All the other DVD releases of Waterworld only have the skimpiest of bonus materials to share. And to be frank, I started this YouTube channel before the announcement of Maelstrom as a way of filling in that void, but there is no doubt that the Maelstrom documentary is an absolute must-watch for any die-hard Waterworld fan. And really, that goes for the entire Arrow Waterworld release in general. It's an absolute must-have. Though, I would just like to point out really quickly that there are 2 versions of this release, the 3-disc version that we just shown here, and a slimmed-down 2-disc version, which is cheaper but excludes the poster, booklet, postcards, and the TV extended cut, but still has the theatrical cut, the Ulysses Cut, and Maelstrom, which are really the meat and potatoes of the package, but just something to be aware of. But it should be mentioned that if you're looking for a straight-up copy of the theatrical cut of Waterworld on Blu Ray without any bonus materials, there are plenty of options out there, including this one, which has a really cool retro VHS packaging, and also this rare Universal Pictures 100-year anniversary edition, which actually has the TV extended cut on DVD included as well. And that's not even to mention the international releases, of which there is this handsome sideways-oriented steelbook from Germany. And while we're talking about steelbooks, let's move on to our next item and have a look at this 4K Ultra HD limited edition steelbook release. This was a Best Buy exclusive, also released in 2019, and is absolutely stunning with this spray paint stenciled style version of Enola's tattoo on the front cover. Popping open the steel case, we are welcomed with 2 discs and a black and white photograph of the Mariner on the left side and a photograph of the Deacon here on the right. This steelbook package includes 4 ways of watching the film: the theatrical cut on 4K Ultra HD, the theatrical cut on Blu Ray, the TV extended cut in HD, and also a digital download of the film. So this is a decent option if you're an owner of an Ultra HD Blu Ray player and a TV capable of those higher resolutions. I unfortunately do not own an Ultra HD player, so I can't see what the Ultra HD DVD menus look like, but the standard Blu Ray has very generic menus with only the theatrical trailer as bonus content. But the real reason I could just not help but pick up this version of Waterworld is because on the back side of the steel case, we are treated with this glorious illustration of a can of Smeat, the main dietary sustenance of the smokers. What an oddly specific and wonderful call out to put right here on the packaging, a thrill for any Waterworld fan for sure. And at the same time that the steelbook was released, there were a few other Ultra HD releases that came out that I don't actually own. First, there was this non-limited edition Ultra HD release, which in video content is identical to the steelbook, but has a more generic DVD packaging, which we'll look at in more detail in just a minute with a few earlier releases. Also, there is this UK steelbook release, which was an exclusive to Zavvi, a UK-based entertainment retail store. This steelbook release does not have the digital download or the theatrical cut on Blu Ray, but it does have this glorious deep sea illustration of the atoll on the front and the trimaran on the back. Flares drift to the seafloor, and at the bottom we can see the underwater city and the Mariner and Helen in their diving bell. And on the inside is this rendering of the atoll under attack underneath the Mariner's face. Overall, a marvelous release for those across the pond. Before we move into the standard DVD releases, I have to give a quick shout out to the HD DVD version of Waterworld. HD DVD is a now defunct format and video player that saw releases from 2006 to 2008 to compete with Blu Ray. The Waterworld HD DVD has a red case and silver accents, standard for the format, and this bland gray back cover. There's also a European variation of this cover too. More on these European covers in just a minute, but again, I don't own these since I don't own an HD DVD player, but I put them here for completion's sake. Moving on to the DVD releases, let's begin with the most recently released one, that being the widescreen 2-disc extended edition. This release from 2008 marked the first time that the TV extended cut made its way onto home video, which is proudly advertised on some versions that came with a slipcover. This DVD also marks the first use of this image for the front packaging, with the hero image of the Mariner in smoker disguise and Helen and the Deacon behind him and slightly faded. Underneath the title and Costner's name is the image of the atoll under attack. Flipping to the back cover, we find a description of the film and more information about the extended cut, along with an image of the trimaran in the Atoll Lagoon and some stills from the film. Opening the case, there are 2 plain blue discs, one for the theatrical cut and one for the TV extended cut. If we put these discs into the DVD player, disc 1 with the theatrical cut has a DVD menu that displays a montage of clips from the film, a nice array of language options, but practically no bonus content with only the theatrical trailer being offered. Disc 2 has only the TV extended cut with some subtitle options. And for me, this was the way I watched the TV extended cut of Waterworld for many years, and this DVD was actually quite valuable before the Blu Ray releases since it was the only way to legally get your hands on the extended cut. Though I have to say, if you're looking to collect this DVD release, be aware that there's another release from the same time that looks almost identical but only has the theatrical cut. Be sure to check at the top of the case that it says 2-disc extended edition. As you can see, I have both versions, but what I really love about the version that only came with the theatrical cut is that it actually did come with a rare glow-in-the-dark slipcover. Here it is in the dark. How odd and extraordinary. And doing a little bit more research, it seems that this was part of a Universal Pictures re-release series sold at Walmart, which saw many legacy properties get a glow-in-the-dark slipcover. The next DVD I would like to look at is this extremely rare widescreen theatrical cut DVD from Hong Kong. I just had to pick this one up because it is so unlike the releases we've gotten here in the United States. This version has been packaged into a plastic sleeve, though as we will discover, it probably had a standard DVD case at some point. Taking the materials out of the plastic sleeve, we find that everything has been tucked away into what is in fact a flattened DVD slipcover, printed on this really nice matte stock. Looking at the front cover is the standard Waterworld image of the mariner over setting sun tattoo, but with the title embossed in English and Chinese, and this shiny sticker down here in the corner. On the backside is the description of the movie, also in English and Chinese, and the stills from the film have this really nice glossy finish on them. Opening up the slipcover is again the mariner over setting sun image, but on the flip side is this glorious picture of the mariner positioned over the atoll. And in fact, this was a common image used for posters, promotional materials, and home video releases outside of the United States. Over this image is what I assume is a detailed description of the movie, and check out this. It seems that it is telling the reader that the film takes place in the year 2500 AD, something that was pretty commonly printed on Asian Waterworld promotional materials. Moving on to this piece of paper, we have a reversible DVD cover insert, which pretty much has the same images and graphics as the slipcover, but on the reverse side has this bold composition with a ton of negative space and the title in white with this unique typography that uses this sharp R in the middle. At the bottom are small pictures of Enola, the mariner, and Helen, and much more prominently is this large image of the Deacon. Ironically, however, this image of the Deacon looking through the Mariner's National Geographic magazines is not even in this version of the movie. This is a scene from the TV extended cut. And speaking of the actual movie, the DVD in this release comes with a nice little envelope that holds the disc. The disc also has this round plastic bag covering. The DVD itself is printed with the same mariner setting sun image, and putting it into the player, we come to a DVD menu that we are going to see a lot in these earlier DVD releases. This one is slightly unique, however, because it has a digital surround sound logo, a total lack of any bonus material, and has only one subtitle option in Japanese. All in all, there are so many strange little details about this release that it makes it one of the most prized in my entire collection. Moving on to our next item, we have this fairly rare widescreen theatrical cut of Waterworld in a small jewel case, released in 1997. On the front we have the standard mariner over setting sun image, and on the back we have a standard description of the film, but on the inside we have this removable insert that shows the mariner on the slide for life, and opening it up we have two more images, the trimaran under attack in the Atoll Lagoon, and the Deacon looking at National Geos, which again is a scene not even on this DVD. And it should be noted that this release also came with a slipcover, which unfortunately I do not own. Putting this reflective DVD into the player, we are given this top menu which actually has a bonus materials section, though don't get your hopes up because the extras are very scant in these early DVD releases of Waterworld. The bonus materials include production notes, which is a fairly broad behind-the-scenes write-up about the production of the film, cast and filmmakers, which gives a quick synopsis of the careers of each of the major players in the film, and of course the theatrical trailer. But I love this DVD release for its small compact design, and in fact it's my usual go-to for just popping in the film to watch or for research. Now let's take a quick look at what is probably one of the most common Waterworld releases, this widescreen theatrical cut in a standard DVD case from 1998. Nothing really to report here, all around it's a very standard release, besides these locking tabs on the side. What do you guys think? Are these satisfying or annoying? the DVD and its menus are identical to the jewel case release that we just looked at. And just some quick DVD honorable mentions that I don't own. There is this European DVD that uses the Mariner over Atoll hero image, which as I mentioned before is common in much of the European promotional material. This version also has a ton more language and subtitle options. And also we have this digital surround sound DVD, which has the DTS logo at the top, which is slightly more rare than the standard widescreen DVD release that I just showed. Now, let's take a look at this extremely rare combo DVD that I own, a single disc that has both Waterworld and Robin Hood Prince of Thieves on it. This release says that it was published by Millennium Entertainment, not Universal Pictures, and to be honest, this may be some kind of bootleg DVD. This DVD, which I bought from a seller on eBay, came with no DVD case and has the name Basham written with Sharpie across the front. Waterworld is printed on the top and Robin Hood is printed on the bottom, along with the names of the producers of the films and the director, Kevin Reynolds. Popping the DVD into the player, we are given this extremely slow and amateurly animated logo for Millennium Entertainment and then dumped onto the screen where we can choose between the two movies. The version of Waterworld on this DVD is actually identical to the Hong Kong version we previously looked at, with Japanese subtitles and no bonus content. Interestingly, the Robin Hood DVD menu does have a button for special features and recommendations, but you're unable to actually enter these menu items. But of course, this is not the only compilation DVD that Waterworld has been included on. There is also this combo DVD where Waterworld is paired with Field of Dreams, a film also produced by Charles Gordon. There is also this post-apocalyptic DVD collection and this action film DVD pack that was released in Australia. But going back to the Waterworld Robin Hood combo DVD, I love this item because it combines the two big budget collaborations between Costner and Reynolds into a single tidy package. Now let's move on to a very interesting piece of defunct technology, the Waterworld DIVX. DIVX was a video format that attempted to compete against video rental stores in 1998 with a special DVD player that would register purchased DIVX discs, usually costing around $4.50, and allow them to be played for 48 hours after their initial viewing. Afterwards, the viewer could pay an extra fee to play the video for 2 more days, or more often the viewer would toss out the disc or bring it to a DIVX recycling bin at a local Circuit City, which was the primary retailer of the format. However, the format was discontinued only a year after its launch, with massive consumer disapproval. Interestingly, many people in the late 90s objected to the fact that DIVX players needed to be connected to phone lines in order to verify the playing of the format, claiming that they did not want large corporations spying on their watching habits, a thing that is now omnipresent in our current internet age. But taking a look at the Waterworld DIVX, it's in pretty cheap packaging with the Mariner setting sun on the front with the DIVX logo and the standard description on the back. The inside has a list of the DVD chapters and the disc itself is very forgettable with this off-brand font used for the title. When I put the disc into the player, I get a message telling me that my Blu Ray player is not equipped with the DIVX feature and to call a number for more information. But the real reason I have the Waterworld DIVX is because it's such a forgotten and unusual format, and that makes it a special addition to my collection. Another honorable mention for a release of Waterworld on an unusual format that I don't own is this Hong Kong release on video compact disc. VCD is a home video format that came out way back in 1993 and put fairly low 240p resolution video on compact disc, which will play in most DVD players. This format was widely adopted in parts of Asia and surpassed the popularity of VHS in many countries. This Waterworld VCD is absolutely gorgeous with this really unique square packaging that has a window to the inside and some excellent use of the watery typography. The release needed to be put on 2 discs to fit the entire film, and check this out printed on the disc. It's a Warner Brothers logo. Very strange that Waterworld, a Universal Pictures property, was distributed by Warner Brothers for this specific release. This VCD came up on eBay a while back and I am so bummed that I did not grab it for my collection. Hopefully someday another will come around because I think this is a very special collectible. Okay, let's now take a look at the VHS releases of Waterworld, starting with this Waterworld screener that I own. I actually have already covered this item in the video on my Waterworld video store promo collection, so I'll only briefly hit on this one again here. This screener was sent out to video rental stores as a way of incentivizing store owners to purchase more copies of Waterworld to rent to their customers. This tape has a really interesting advertisement at the beginning showing all the different marketing materials the stores could use to promote the rental of Waterworld, and the movie that follows is the theatrical cut of the film. But again, check out my video on the video store promo collection for an even deeper dive into the contents of this screener. Next up is the Collector's Choice Waterworld VHS from 1999, though honestly I'm not sure what's so collectible about this version. This is a completely generic theatrical cut of Waterworld with a couple of exceptions, most predominantly this banner on the front cover that exclaims Collector's Choice, and on the back the cover switches it up with this image of the mariner riding a rope down the mast of the trimaran. This is also one of the first times in my collection that we have looked at a full screen version of Waterworld. Home videos in this era often came out in 4:3 aspect ratio to match the viewer's home television set, meaning that the video had to be cropped in from its original theatrical version to fill the more narrow screen. But to make up for that, I also own this fancy widescreen edition of Waterworld on VHS released in 1997. It has this shiny border that goes all around the packaging. This release has also been THX digitally remastered for superior sound and picture quality. And what I really enjoy about this release is this little message on the back ensuring the viewer that the black bars on the top and bottom of the screen are intentional, showing how audiences at this time were still getting used to watching widescreen films at home. I also have this other letterbox edition of Waterworld on VHS from 1996. This was part of the first wave of Waterworld home releases to come out after the film's theatrical run. From what I can tell, letterbox is the same as widescreen, perhaps just a more old-fashioned word to describe the same treatment. The film industry probably adopted the word widescreen for marketing since it implies that more film is being shown rather than letterbox, which implies that the film is being placed in a smaller box. But that's just my own theory. What do you guys think the difference is between letterbox and widescreen? But regardless, this version has a red stripe on the top and bottom advertising its letterbox format and this description of the format on the back cover. Another fine addition to my collection. And surprisingly, as I started scripting this video, I realized that I don't actually own the full screen VHS of Waterworld released in 1996 as part of the first wave of home videos. It's funny to think that of all these releases I've shown in this video, I don't own what is probably the most common and widely distributed version of the film. The last VHS I have in my collection is another Hong Kong release in this sturdy plastic shell. The front cover uses the Mariner over Atoll image, and again, the watery typography in Chinese is just so cool looking. I also love this nice gold sticker that says CIC Video Blockbuster on it, and I believe the CIC Video did much of the distribution for Universal Pictures outside of the United States. On the backside is the description of the movie in both Chinese and English, and down at the bottom is this scan of a legal paper, which I believe has something to do with the film's suitable audience rating. The VHS itself is of really high quality with this tape guard that is blue and has CIC Video printed on it. There's just something about these Hong Kong releases that really intrigues me. All in all, I feel like there's just a closer attention to detail in the packaging on some of these foreign releases. And speaking of foreign releases, I just need to shout out this really cool UK VHS release I stumbled upon when scripting this video. This hardshell VHS case actually has a collectible fold-out sleeve that contains a few paragraphs about the making of the film. The tape itself also has this really cool label with the trimaran and the gates of the Atoll on it. Someday, I would love to get my hands on this copy of Waterworld. Now turning to the final home video in my collection, we have the letterbox version of Waterworld on Laserdisc. Laserdisc was a home video format that offered an alternative and higher quality option to VHS and Betamax, and by the way, I don't believe that Waterworld ever received a release on Betamax. Laserdiscs, similar to DVDs, are also chapter-based, meaning that viewers could quickly jump to the middle of the video without having to fast forward or rewind, and Laserdiscs also contain multiple audio tracks, allowing for language options and director commentary tracks. Laserdiscs, however, were more expensive than VHS. Just look at the sticker on the front of mine, with the retail price set at $45. On the back packaging is information about the film and a list of the chapters. To fit the whole film on Laserdisc, the video needed to be distributed on 3 sides contained on 2 discs, meaning that you would have to flip or change the disc 3 times to watch the entire theatrical cut of the film. And not having too much experience with the Laserdisc format besides some exposure in elementary school, it is really astonishing to take in just how large these discs are. Another great addition to my home video collection. And just a few last honorable mentions before I conclude this video. There's also this digital surround sound Waterworld Laserdisc, this Japanese Laserdisc, this Chinese Laserdisc, and this UK Laserdisc that has the Mariner over Atoll image on the front. And I also came across this German Laserdisc, which sort of combines the Mariner setting sun image with the Mariner over Atoll image. Very unique, and I love the brighter color palette used in this version. And wow, there you have it. That is a look at my Waterworld video collection and really a look into the entire history of Waterworld home releases in general. This video ended up being way longer and more intensive to create than I initially thought, so if you're here at the end, I would greatly appreciate a thumbs up or a comment below about what Waterworld home videos you own. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Atoll for future videos or to check out my past Waterworld videos and playlists. This is a small and very niche channel, so believe me when I say every subscription truly means a lot to me. Also, be sure to follow the Atoll on Instagram for even more Waterworld content or to reach out to me personally, link in the description below. But with that, thanks, as always, for joining me at the Atoll.